Hello, work wifeys.
Hello.
Adrian and Emily here, helping you create work cultures that don't suck with Dear Work Wives. So today on this episode, we're actually going to be sharing submissions, people that wanted to vent about some things,
I'm so
as
excited.
well as someone who needs some advice.
I'm so excited, but also so disgusted.
I know.
And I think that's going to be the theme of this entire journey for me.
Like, even though some of these people just asked to vent, I have an
Thoughts?
inability to shut my mouth. So I'm going to share some potential advice.
Well, especially if anyone else is listening who's in a
That's
similar
going through
scenario,
this,
right?
or ever in the future finds yourself in these unfortunate scenarios.
So if you submitted this and you're like, I didn't ask for advice, then it's not for you.
You're paying it forward. You're paying it forward to someone else by submitting this. And that's also like, if you have a story that maybe you don't need advice on because it's from the past, please still submit, right? Because you're paying it forward to other people so that they know what to do in these scenarios, or that they don't have to just like be in a state of shock, right?
Right.
I might find myself in a state of shock in some of these scenarios.
Yes, I can't. Yeah.
Okay,
here we go.
Let's just dive in.
First
one. Okay. So all of our submissions are anonymous. We ask people just to write a pseudonym to submit, just for confidentiality reasons, purposes. What am I saying?
All of those words. Yeah. All of those are true.
All of those things. So this is from Willow Wilson. And she says, I'm the only female on my team, which spreads across 5 offices in 2 states.
Oh.
I work with the entire team, but sit in the office where I live as an account manager for large corporate banking clients. The majority of my team is sales guys. Last year, I was out of office on, I'm doing bunny quotes, air quotes, right? If you're listening to the podcast. Last year, I was out of office on quote unquote admin day and receive a text from a male coworker wishing me a happy administrative professionals day. I returned to the office the next day to flowers from the team in the office I work out of, also wishing me the same. I am not an admin. No offense to admins. We need them to survive. True, right?
1,000%. Yeah.
But since I am the only female, it seems I get stuck sorting the mail that arrives and ordering supplies when needed, because working with all the men, if I don't do it, it won't happen at all. Why are females, especially younger, just tagged in as this? Am I speechless? Like, I'm so offended. Not again, because like administrative professionals are absolutely essential. Like, they do things for us
essential things.
They're essential. Like, I can't run my company, I can't do what I do without support staff like that, right? So it's not to like diminish that role, but it's like the fact that her male coworkers don't even know that she is an account manager.
Yeah.
And not just your administrative, like, bitch,
office manager
to like do whatever you're not doing, like ordering office supplies and sorting the mail for them. Like, what?
It's like, I'm not like, zero part of me is surprised.
I know, which is so sad.
Because also, like, if I would do it, if I was the only female in the office, like I would just do those things, because that I'm similar to how men are programmed to just like believe that I just would pick up the job and do it, like without even thinking about it.
So right, like, you're just sorting the mail because no one else is doing it.
No one else is doing it, so I'll
turning it into a huge pile. So you're like, okay, I guess I'll do this because no one else is taking the initiative.
Yeah, or like, I don't want to be out of toner ink, or printer ink, so I'll just order some. Yeah. I probably also would have built the system to know when it was out. You know what I mean? Like, I would be the one who's like paying attention to that stuff.
I would be like, do we need an administrative assistant?
Yeah, be like Pam from The Office. Like, we need an office manager, and she just creates a role for herself. But we would hire that out. But like, who is like They
Yeah,
don't even
sounds
have
like
one.
you do. Sounds like you do need like an office manager or an admin, first of all, for you to like be doing all those things. I want that person to also be a man. I want you to hire a man
Right.
admin because yeah, why is it that just because you're a woman, you're number one being assumed to be the office manager and then also getting like sucked into these tasks that actually are not your responsibility and
Right.
currently they're no one's responsibility. So that's like number one is like why
Right. This is so like run the clockwork of us to be like roles and responsibilities. Whose job description is this? Like this is taking you away from your primary role and costing the company money for you to do it because I would imagine that you are paid a much higher rate than an admin would be.
Yeah. I imagine you have more important things
Much more
in
important
your
things.
role to be doing that would add more value to the organization because that's your skill set as an account manager.
Yeah.
Like, what would you do if you received a text that said like, happy administrative professionals day from one of your colleagues that you've worked with who you know what their job is, but clearly they don't know what yours is?
I would die of secondhand embarrassment for them. I have like really bad secondhand embarrassment. Like I can't watch like American Idol auditions because I can't handle the like cringy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I would.
What's your response? Let's just say like, what's your response to that text? How do you respond to it? Like, what are we saying to this man?
I'm not the admin.
Yeah.
Like,
thank you so
I'm
much.
not the admin,
but I am actually an account manager. It's so interesting that you didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm actually an account manager of these accounts. Big accounts.
Yeah, I think that is probably the appropriate response, right? Like, oh, thanks so much for the well wishes. Unfortunately, like I'm actually not an admin. Like I am an account manager. And it's really interesting that you were not aware of that.
Right. What's your role again? No.
Yeah, what's your role?
Yeah.
Happy admins. Maybe you just say like happy
admins.
You
too. You do.
Maybe
we're
that's
just celebrating it collectively. Like we don't have one in the office, so are we just collectively celebrating it?
Like, are you saying that because I'm the one that sorts the mail, or like, is it a joke? Like, haha,
wrong number. Who dis? Like,
like, haha, I know we need an admin, right? Like, is it like a joke?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like because like my personality would not allow me to like have there be discomfort in the office. So I would probably try to laugh it off. Because I would then be like, oh my gosh, if we have I don't want to create drama. But I would probably also talk to my supervisor at the net, whoever I report to, and be like,
yeah, because it was not just that one person.
It was the entire office.
It was the entire office.
So I would need to know, like, at my next check-in, like, why is this the assumption?
And can you communicate to the team what my role actually is?
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the route I would take because I personally would be like, how embarrassing for you that you think I'm the admin. Let me just remind you that I'm not.
Right. And stop trying to give me tasks. But also, maybe that's why they give her those tasks, because they genuinely don't know what she is.
Right.
Maybe they clearly they genuinely thought she was an admin.
Right.
So maybe they'll stop giving you those tasks once they know, actually, I'm an account manager.
Yeah, like when was the last time the team, when was the last time the team all kind of like did something, or there was like a vision conversation, or like checked in, like, I mean, to kind of like establish who everyone is.
Do you ever give like progress updates on like your accounts,
like does everyone operate in a silo? And it's like, you're the only woman
like
the only female in the office, and you weren't there that day. And so they were kind of like, oh, someone probably was like, oh shoot, it's admin day, and we didn't figure it out. So then they like panicked. And they're like, well, she's not here, so she must have taken it off for admin day.
Oh,
No.
Yeah, we're not
like,
defending these people.
No, I'm not defending them, but I just mean like because clearly no one in the office talks to each other.
Right. Sounds like no one talks to each other about like work stuff.
Right?
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one.
Yeah. Yikes. Okay.
Yikes.
Okay, I'm gonna read this one. So this one is from Third Wheel. A former boss and I were both in our 20s and female. Boss hired her BFF onto our small marketing team. There were lots of small toxic moments leading up to this, such as BFF being given promotions she didn't deserve. But the kicker is when I was using BFF's extra work laptop while mine was being repaired. I know where this is going. Boss sent an instant message and I opened thinking it was for me.
No.
It was boss complaining to BFF about how I interacted with a coworker. No one knew we had just started dating, but she was interested in him and heavily flirted.
Oh no.
I know. I was later laid off while BFF was promoted again and then asked to come back because they couldn't figure out how to do my job. I politely declined. Oh,
That's just like the best ending though.
right? That's
like,
the best. Like,
they asked you to come back because they were like, oh shoot, like we don't actually know how to do anything without her.
yeah.
Even though I've consistently and continuously promoted my BFF, who doesn't deserve it.
Oh, like that was the first red flag for me. Like,
Right.
I feel like when you bring in a close, like a relationship that already exists, you need to establish like to the team outward the boundaries and like you need to show the delineation between friendship and work because it can get
messy.
like, oh, is that like, you know, it's the same as like working with a husband and wife team. You're kind of like, how does this work? Or a partner team, any sort of partner team like that. Like, how does this work? But that's when they're equal, even it's challenging. But when you bring someone in and they have like a long history and they're besties, like, ooh, it's challenging to navigate that.
I feel like it's challenging as a leader and not everyone is able to, you know, draw those lines, right? Like if you're unable as a leader to like kind of compartmentalize like, okay, this is my best friend outside of work and
at work
she can continue to be my best friend, but I have to like be able to give this feedback at work, right? Which is not always easy or fun, but like ask me how I know, right? But like you have to be able to like compartmentalize that you still have to show up as the best leader for your team, for your organization. And if you're unwilling to do that and like separate those things, then I don't think that's a good move, right? Like I've had people work with me that I absolutely can call friends, but I feel like I am also, as hard as it can be, like I'm also committed to like giving them feedback on like, hey, you're not doing a great job here. Like we need to improve this, or how can I, you know, support you in, you know, these types of things. I try not to let that friendship like sway me. So I know that that's like that can be a challenging dynamic. So yes, like that's a red flag if that person is unwilling to like separate those two things.
Yeah. Have you pause before we keep moving? Are you caught up on this season of Summer House?
No. Oh, I have one more episode to catch up.
This is Kyle and Carl.
Oh yeah. Well, I've seen like enough to know that like that is a problem, right? Like Kyle and Carl are struggling right now.
Struggling. For all who don't know, like Adrian and I are huge Bravo holics. So there will be references to shows like Summer House, Below Deck, all the Housewives. So
yeah. So quick recap of like the backstory. Like Kyle owns this company called Loverboy, which is a
canned cocktail
like seltzer business kind of beverage, right?
Yeah.
And Carl started as like the VP of sales like 5 years ago or something.
Yeah, like air quotes, like best friend gave his best friend a job.
Gave his best friend a job, basically, especially like when he gave his best friend that job, his best friend was like kind of
living a different lifestyle.
Yeah, living a different lifestyle, not the most responsible at the time, whatever. So he had this like nice fancy title, whatever. So Kyle, who owns the company, is now like a little upset because Carl is basically phoning it in lately.
Yes. Because on the flip side, Carl is like Carl's became like sober. And so he's evaluating, like, do I want to work for an alcohol company? Like, does this align? But he's phoning it in at the same time. Like,
he's phoning it in because he's not talking to Kyle. Like, he needs to, like, he's telling everyone besides Kyle that that's how he's feeling. And he's like waiting for this perfect moment. Oh, I was going to write this email and tell you. But instead, I just gossiped about it and told everyone else. It's like
everyone else. Yeah.
Like,
now they share this house in the Hamptons for the summer.
And like, we're still not talking about it. Yeah. Like,
just such good TV.
Like, you have to talk directly to this person and say, hey, I know we're friends. I would like to be able to remain friends. And that's another thing about working with a friend. Like, in order to preserve the friendship, like, don't let the work get in the way, right? Like, you have to be able to separate those things and also be direct and not like let things fester, because then you're just creating so much resentment, you know, towards each other about everything. Like, they could still be friends if he would just be direct and say, hey, I know you've given me a ton of opportunities. I really appreciate them. Like, I've grown so much. I feel like I've been a valuable asset to the team, but I'm really evaluating if this is something that aligns with my values at this point in my life, right? And I want to be here to support you until we make a transition, but I'm looking for something else, right? Like, that's the conversation that Carl needed to have.
Yes.
So that it doesn't turn into, now we're not even able to be friends. Now I'm going to talk shit about like all your past work too, you know?
Yes.
When like, it could have turned into a great referral, a reference that he could use. It's just like, it's
Kyle could have supported him through it, as opposed to now, like, their whole relationship is destroyed.
Totally. It's just like, not being direct in your communication is always a recipe for disaster. And I think that we will have that theme over and over again on this podcast, because it's something that we see with our clockwork students too. It's like, they're challenged because they're not having those direct conversations. So,
because the direct conversations are really hard.
Right. Because this other person is also like the boss sending the instant message.
Right.
This is like major red flag, right? Like, talking gossip about your other team members to your best friend who is also on the team.
Yeah.
With this person. Like, whereas if you were concerned about how someone interacted with someone else, like, don't do what we would call triangulation and bring someone else in. I know it's your best friend, so you're gossiping,
which is like back to the first point, don't hire your best friend.
Don't do that, right? You can't do that. Like, don't hire your best friend if you can't like hold back the gossip, right? Yeah. Because then
it becomes 2 against 1.
Totally. And it's just totally unfair to the other people on the team that like everyone now knows her business. And it's like, it was none of anyone's business. She should have gone directly. If that's your boss and your boss is uncomfortable with the way that you're talking to another coworker, then like, go directly to that coworker and say, hey, I noticed you maybe being flirty with so-and-so, or like, what, like, this is a little bit inappropriate in the office place. Like, done.
I mean, it sounds like there were so many like leaving. I mean, I'm curious, like, the timeline of like, I was later laid off. I'm like, how long did you have to deal with these like weird toxic behaviors? But this was not the workplace for you. You did the right thing you got laid off, but I wish you would have left on your own terms. Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like, I wish you would have left. But
it's okay. You're gone. You left, and you put your foot down when you didn't go back when they asked you,
which is almost like better to be like, 'cause you got laid off, and then it's like, oh, actually, we're like, no,
you to come back.
No, absolutely not. So
absolutely not.
But I think the moral, like, you were in a horrible situation, and you were also put in an impossible situation of like, you like, if you would have left just because you hired the best friend, like, that's just weird. Like, you don't like, you don't want to make assumptions that things aren't going to work out. But I think this is more a warning to like, I don't know. It's challenge. Just be careful hiring your absolute best friend, because you do have to be very diligent about separating like church and state, for lack of a better word.
I was going to say that earlier. Yeah, I agree. And if you're someone who's like experiencing red flags in your current job, like, submit it to us, but also just like, I think values is such an important, like, guide for, is this the right place for me?
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
All right, we're ready for the next one.
Okay, this one is longer, and they need advice.
Okay.
I'm gonna read it.
You're gonna read it.
I read it. Okay.
Okay.
So this one is from Sick of Playing Games. I'm in the
too.
I'm in the middle of a messy situation and I need your help. I'm an assistant manager at a retail store. I was hired specifically for this role and was really excited to be part of the leadership team. Once I started, it became clear to me that one of the shift leaders had applied for my position and was not granted that promotion, obviously, because she had it.
Yeah.
From day one, she has had so much resentment towards me and refuses to complete any tasks that I assign to her. She also frequently calls out sick on days when it's just her and I working. There have been so many frustrations with her, but I learned to ignore them. Recently, there was some confusion about a promotion from head office and our store wasn't ready on time. The team member placed all the blame on me. I was then forced to defend myself to the store manager, and all of the history about our tumultuous relationship came out. Now this team member refuses to talk to me or even look at me. She will walk in and say hi to everyone else and ignore me. She'll go get snacks for the team and not include me. Really petty stuff. When I asked her if we could talk and try to move past this, she refused and said she will never respect me, listen to me, or see me as an authority. I've brought all of this to my manager and received no support because my manager is way too soft. And I've even tried to escalate it to HR, but without the support of my manager, they dismissed it. What should I do? I hate showing up for work, but I also don't want this girl to win by forcing me out.
Oh my God. This is so bad in so many, like,
talk about like, the hits just keep on coming.
right.
Like,
because I mean, the pettiness, like, it's so gross. And then the worst part for me is like the lack of support from your leadership and HR. It's like,
yeah.
Wait, what? You're not like, so someone can just, as a leader, you know, I'm supposed to be managing this person and they're supposed to take direction from me and they're going to blatantly ignore me. And as my leader, you're saying that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Like, so how am I supposed to do my job if this person is allowed to not listen to me?
Right. It's basically, it's insubordination is what it is.
Yeah, like, it's insubordination. And apparently your company is saying that's okay and it's not that important.
Right. My husband, this is not my husband's story, but my husband also worked as a retail manager for like 6 or 7 years. And the chain of command in those kind of like corporate retail stores is like moves at a snail's pace. Like when there is something going on or when there is like opportunity or whatever, like it's like time is moving backwards for how slow they are to take action. Again, this is a generalization, but in my experiences.
Yeah.
So like by the time you make the complaint and then there's a review and then I've experienced it being like months of just continuing to have to deal and work and operate in situations like this. And I don't know how people do it, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
I feel so bad for this girl. I feel like
we have to give her some advice, right?
She wants advice.
What should we do? Okay. I hate showing up for work, but I also don't want this girl to win by forcing me out. Let's talk about this, right?
Right.
Because like, if you hate showing up for work, like that's really sad.
Right. Especially like it's a lot of our time.
It's a lot of your time to like dread. Like I've had that feeling of dread.
Yeah.
Not just like normal, like, ugh, I don't want to work.
Yeah.
But like literally, like, because I think everyone has that. Sorry.
Yeah. Like I'd rather have every single day off, let's be honest. But I still like my job.
Like, I still like what I do.
Yeah.
I literally created and run this company. And there's absolutely days where I'd rather just like not work, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I don't have that dread, but I have had that dread. And that dread is like painful in your body. And I feel like it's really bad for your mental health. It's really bad for your physical health. It's something that I would question. Is it worth it for you to remain if you're not getting support from your leadership staff and your HR? Like my first thing is like, I would probably not like take no for an answer from HR. Like if they're dismissing this as not a big deal, like now I'm reporting HR.
Yeah. I would be like documenting everything and like just reporting over and over again. Like documentation is your best friend.
Yes. I would be documenting. I'd be like not letting them dismiss this if And I know that that's easier said than done because, and if they continue to dismiss it, I feel like it would be one of those things that would be like, okay, this is just not the place for
Yeah.
me, and I would
Yeah.
encourage you to maybe start putting your feelers out for what you would want to do next and get
Yeah.
really clear on like your values so that we can find a role and a job and a culture that more matches those things.
Yeah, I think I would be bringing the entire situation to like including your manager who's very dismissive of these behaviors. Like report the manager, report HR.
Yeah.
Like there's a chain of command. You can go to your
Yes.
district manager, you can go to your regional manager. Like
You can go to that CEO.
you can. Like someone's gonna listen.
One of my friends did. I want her to submit this because like she had like a toxic boss and she went straight to her co-founders after going to the boss. Then then like
She
nothing
tried.
was being resolved. She tried.
Yeah.
And the boss got fired.
She needs to
Like,
submit.
I was like, something else was going on because it was like literally a day or two after her conversation. The boss got fired. And I'm like, you were not the first.
No.
But I was so glad that she said something,
Yeah.
because it was like, should I say something? Should I not? Like,
Yeah. I think
but she went to the co-founders. So like, if there
Good.
are other people, I agree, like go like documentation so that you can like keep bringing this up the chain.
Retention is like one of the biggest struggles in this industry, right? Because they hire so many it's a job suited often for like younger kids who don't, or younger people who don't mind working evenings, weekends, whatever, right? And so it's hard to retain those people. So like that's a huge concern of theirs. So like I don't know why they wouldn't take it seriously when they have someone who's clearly invested enough in the position to be willing to like fight to make it better
and like wanting to do a great job and like wanting to lead these team members well, and they're just like literally ignoring you and not doing what you're asking them to do, which sounds like you're asking them to do things that are
within their
positive and supportive for the company.
So I would, like you're saying, I would be documenting, escalating, but I would also be looking elsewhere because
I think the mindset of like, I don't want this girl to win by forcing me out. Like she's not going to win either way, right? Like she's going to get her karma. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
But if you leave, she doesn't win.
No. I mean, she might feel like she wins, but you win,
You win because you don't have to deal with her anymore or the other toxicity within your workplace. Because it's not just her being toxic. It sounds like everyone.
Yeah. Watching this behavior and allowing, it's the petty behavior. Like I can't imagine working in an organization where like the manager just like sees that type of behavior and allows it to continue.
Right. And they're just like,
can you imagine if I was just like refused to talk to like, I just don't talk to Sandy.
Or you like bring on the for everyone, but not Sandy.
Like I send snacks to everyone but Sandy. And
no,
you would be like, Emily.
It's like laughable, like how ridiculous it is, like how middle school, like Mean Girls it is. It was absolutely would not tolerate that in my work environment because it just breeds more and more toxicity,
Yes. People emulate the behavior that they see.
And like discomfort for everyone. Like now Sandy's uncomfortable and that makes other people on the team uncomfortable. Yeah, no.
Yeah. I mean, we're picking on Sandy. Sandy, we would never
not give you snacks.
You just popped in, first one that popped into my head. So, but yeah.
Well, sick of playing games. I agree. I think document the heck out of this. Go above your manager if they're unwilling to, support you.
Have a real conversation about it.
Yeah. And start looking for a new job because you deserve better than this.
Absolutely.
And clearly you're a great asset to a team.
Yeah.
This team just doesn't recognize it.
Especially because you were willing to stick that out stick it out. You're like, I'll just deal, you could clearly have loyalty, traits that people are looking for. So
if you want to do the opposite of what we say, you could also be ultra petty and do mean things back to this girl.
Right? Like if you want to have a mean girl moment, go for it.
Yeah. Like
bring in Starbucks for
everyone. Beat her at her own game.
Yeah.
bring her favorite thing for everybody else.
Or just kill her with kindness and make her look extra ridiculous.
Make her
right?
look ridiculous, right? Like when she brings a snack for everyone else, like be like, oh, it's okay. I'll go grab my own. Thanks so much, Emily.
Yeah.
Or like when
And,
she says hi to everyone but you, be like, oh, hi, Emily. Hey,
Yeah.
I know you must have missed me. I'm right over here.
Yeah.
Right?
Just
Like,
point
just,
it
like,
out.
Point it out.
Make it so obvious to everyone else that they can't ignore it. Because like those little petty things are kind of easy to ignore if you want to look the other way, but make it so they can't ignore it.
Yeah, let's like make it very obvious that we're
Yeah.
not going to stand for this.
Yeah. Do that.
You should do
like,
both
do
of those things.
Yeah, do that anyway, because then all you're doing is like making your case stronger if HR were to get involved and have to talk to other people.
Yeah, because oh, she said hi to everyone but me. Oh, I didn't see her, right? Like, so don't make that. She didn't say hi to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, like, you say hi to her first. You go out of your way to like be nice to her.
Also, the fact that that's even a thing, this is even a thing, blows my mind, but it is. Like, I'm sure this is just the first of many stories we're going to talk about of like just petty passive aggressive behavior in the workplace.
I hate people.
Except for me.
Except for everyone listening. I love you all because you're trying to do better, right?
Right.
But, like, I hate people that create this toxicity. It's like so unnecessary. And, hurt people is what I've heard them say.
I've heard this. I've heard it. And I feel like, no, I believe it, but I believe it.
But it's still not necessary. It's like, I'm a hurt person, but I'm not.
Get a journal.
Get a journal. Maybe buy her a journal.
Get a therapist. Like,
maybe buy her a journal.
It's incredibly privileged of me to say just get a therapist. I know it's not that easy, but like something. Do something. Like have some self-awareness.
Do you think
listen to Taylor Swift?
Girl a gift, like a journal? Be like, I can tell you're having like a lot of feelings, so maybe you should process them in this journal.
Right? That would be great. I just think I saw this and thought of you. Like,
right.
I was out shopping and I saw this and it just reminded me of you. And like, maybe it is something about it. Maybe she has like a favorite sweater or something and it's like that color. So you can be like, see, it's like, truly, I thought about you. And like, you can, because you seem to be having a hard time lately. And sometimes writing stuff down helps. Like, Yeah. I know. It's a lot of effort on your part. You shouldn't have to do any of this.
You shouldn't have to do any of this, but
if you truly don't want to leave because maybe you like the company, maybe you like, like maybe there are other things that work for you. Like you get like the pay, the schedule, like, you know what I mean? Like, especially in this retail industry, it's not easy to just find a comparable job because they're all, so if you are like, I want to stay because I like this, whatever, then you do it. And if you don't, then just be like, it's okay. You can move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this was the first 3 of what would you say? Millions
of stories that we're going to receive.
So if you want to submit a story, now that you kind of are like, okay, I see, I
get the vibes. Yeah.
Dearworkwives.com. Put that.
It's anonymous.
Totally anonymous. It doesn't have to be a current situation. It can just be an old situation. Maybe it's something like your spouse is going through. I could submit a lot of what my husband, but I won't.
Yeah, I need all my college friends and mom friends who share all their stories with me. I'm gonna be like, you need to go submit. Okay.
Yeah, because the rampant toxicity means
people need to know.
No shortage of stories to talk about as long as you all submit them. And then hopefully we'll have a little bit more toxicity in your life.
Because this is like, what's the like women's movement after like
Me Too?
Harvey Weinstein? This is like the Me Too movement, but for like workplace culture, right? Like if we stay silent, these things will keep happening.
Right.
So
1000%.
You have to submit this stuff and share with other people. Like this stuff is not okay.
No, none of these things are okay.
And you do not have to just like take them.
No. But you can
shut your mouth, right?
Fight against it in a healthy way.
But like, this is also like why I'm so passionate about this stuff. It's like, because our society kind of created a system in which you feel like you do because you need money to
Yeah. Oh,
live
yeah.
in our society.
Capitalism.
Right? Yeah. Like, so we're going to create like the Me Too version of workplace culture. So submit your stories, be a part of that, share with other people. And we'll see you on the next episode of Dear Work Wives.
Can't wait.